Facebook Live. I am super pumped. I am joined here with Ben Graham representing Canada. I gotta give a shout out to all the Canadians out here because this is the first two Canadian Facebook Live we've done. So super excited for that. And we are talking today about the two golden rules. Now, this is super, super important. And this is, as Ben and I were chatting before we came live, this is so important that so many trainers are not doing right now, okay? And if you're not doing this, you are totally missing out, okay? Now, before we get started, I want you guys to say hi in the comments. Let us know where you're from. And also, we're going to be giving away some free books throughout today's live lesson. And all you have to do for your chance to win a free book is to let us know in the comments your number one takeaway when we're all done, okay? So, Ben, let's get started. Tell our viewers a little bit about yourself, okay?
So my name is Ben. That's the first thing. I've been in the training industry for probably we're closing in on 7 years now. I've been a gym owner for just over a year and a half. Started out at 18 years old, fresh out of high school, getting into personal training. My background, I was a competitive kickboxer on Canada's World Kickboxing Council as a junior. So I already had quite a bit of interest in fitness and health and what may be, and I started building off of that passion and the interest that others showed towards the knowledge that I was developing, which looking back now was very limited and is still limited. There's so much to learn, and the more you learn, the more you realize you don't know all that much. Very cliche, but also very true. But fast forward over the past 6 years, I've done over 15,000 one-on-one training sessions. If you do the math, it's excessive. I'm a bit of a workaholic, so we're talking between 60 and 90 session weeks for the first 5 or 6 years leading up to owning my own facility. And wow. You know, there's a lot of time that goes into getting to this point at this age, but a lot of it came down to what I learned in the OTA and how I implemented that into owning a brick and mortar facility.
I love that. So for those of you that are watching, so I'm just going to come out and say it because OTA stands for Online Trainer Academy. And a lot of people think that it's just for people online. But the thing is that the strategies that you use or you learn, in OTA are transferable regardless if you're online or have an in-person gym like you have, right?
Yes. And, that was one of the powerful tools that actually allowed us to build out the facility so quickly. Because when I first started, I was debating whether or not I wanted to continue in the industry because of how grueling it truly is at the beginning. It's brutal. From what I can see, most coaches either have no clients or they have way too many, and they don't know where to pivot from there. And, when you're starting out, if you have 10 sessions, you're not turning anybody away. And from that point, next thing you have 20, you really develop that habit of not saying no to anything. And because it's almost desperation until you get to 40 or 50 appointments and you still have that habit of saying yes, saying yes, saying yes. And I was getting to the point where, working 90, 100-hour weeks back to back to back, no days off, it was grueling. And I was like, okay, do I want to open up my own facility? What do I want to do? And that's when I saw the course online. And I found it interesting because I was like, oh, cool. This is someone advertising an online training course where you don't get to go live on a beach and make $100,000 a month. They were structuring it more as a business course. And I found that interesting, and I started looking into it more. I ordered it, fast forward, and I said, wow, I could use a hybrid model and put that in play in a brick and mortar facility.
Oh, and it's amazing. I've used that with many of my clients because, for example, where I live, it's a very rural area. So for clients that wanted to train with me, it was challenging for them to come for 3-4 sessions a week because some of them were driving like 4 hours away. So, wow. The commitment of that, where you're in Windsor. So do you know where King City is?
Yep.
So I had clients like driving from King City to come down and see me once a week or once a month. So in a situation like that,
That says a lot about your expertise as well, though. If you're willing to carry that load.
Thank you. That client lost 45 pounds. So it was really,
Wow.
and I was invited to her wedding. It was really a cool opportunity. But when you have clients like that, you love working with them in person, but you just can't make that commitment, or they can't make that commitment for obvious reasons. So the hybrid option works like really well for that, or for people that that they can't afford to come in 3-4 times a week, or the people that their shift or their schedules, like we have a lot of shift workers here. So having that hybrid model where they can come in once a week or whatever is really helpful. So Ben, I want to ask you, what was your number one takeaway, your biggest aha moment from that you've learned so far?
So this was probably the first few minutes that I had the textbook arrive. You're flipping through it, seeing what's available and what the course has to offer. And I got online, got onto the modules, and John mentioned at one point one of the most important things he had learned, and I believe this was one of his clients who was a doctor, if I recall correctly, who mentioned to him that it's okay if you're good at what you do, but there's two factors. You have to be good at what you do, but then you also have to make sure everybody knows about it. And I think that I was dropping the ball there 100%. I was doubling down on my efforts to be good. In fact, my goal was to be great, but nobody really knew other than the people I worked with at the time. And I think as coaches, a lot of us, we all fall into the trap of thinking it's bad to, I guess, showcase what our clients are succeeding with in terms of results and measurable outcomes.
Well, and it's so funny, right? Because we work so hard to take as many courses as possible to be super knowledgeable, but then we almost like take pride in when our clients say like, "Oh, you're the best kept secret," and it's like, no, you don't want to be a secret. You want everyone to know about you.
Yeah, and I see a lot of coaches, what ends up happening is they almost procrastinate the business aspect of growing their training and their reputation, and they double down on learning as if that's going to somehow propel their career. But the
Mm-hmm.
reality is you have to be investing time and money and resources that you have at your disposal into both the business and the coaching aspect of it.
So let me ask you this. Why do you think that coaches don't don't put stuff out there? Like, what do you think is their limiting belief, right?
I think there's a lot of factors that contribute to that. I know for myself, at first it was a comparison game. I didn't think that the results that I was getting were that impressive until I started posting them, and clients and their social circles were, astounded by what was happening at the facility. And we've sort of positioned ourselves with a good reputation in town of actually getting people outcomes. And I think that's one thing a lot of coaches don't realize is that measurable outcomes are actually quite rare in our industry. And if
Oh,
you're getting people any degree of progress, you should be showcasing that because it does really draw attention to the fact that people are going to come to you and invest their money because they want an outcome. If somebody wants to lose 20 pounds, they want to work with someone who has a track record of helping people lose weight. If somebody
absolutely.
wants to add 100 pounds on their bench press and you're the person in town when it comes to strength, then they want to work with someone that's going to add that weight onto their bench press in a way that they can see.
Absolutely. Well, and another thing that we had mentioned a little bit before we came live was how people dive into a lot of courses because they feel that they don't know enough, so it's almost like an ego thing where they're like, I don't feel good enough, especially those new trainers, right? They see these Instagram pages or other Facebook pages where they see this like massive following online, and then they start comparing themselves to that person, and they're like, well, it's just me, right? It's like little old me. I'm just starting. Like I'm not good enough to be posting this stuff. So what would you tell those people that are watching that feel like they're not anywhere near these other people on social media?
So this is a tough one to overcome, and it takes a lot of practice, in my opinion. But being fortunate enough to have a social circle that involves coaches who are just starting out, all the way up to some of the top coaches in the industry, one thing is for sure is that everybody is facing a lot of the same challenges. And if you can recognize that what you're seeing on social media is a lot of highlight reel footage,
Mhm.
one of the best things you can do is stop distracting yourself with all of these showy Instagram pages and start following the people that are in the trenches, actually training people on a regular basis. And you'll find that there's a lot of similarities, even if they're considered to be one of the best in the industry. You'll notice that they show up at their gyms first thing in the morning. They're working with their clients on Sundays. A lot of the things that you perceive to be holdbacks, if you will, and things that are limiting you in your growth are the same habits that those who've been veterans of the industry for 10, 20 years are still employing on a regular basis. And that there really is no difference. This is a long game, and you have to build that rapport and put your effort into showcasing what you can do. And you might not be the best, and that's okay. But if your client is getting the results that they came for, you don't need to be the best. You just need to constantly be improving and working on getting better along the way.
Oh, that is so valuable. I think that so many people are exactly what you said. They're comparing to other people's highlight reels, and nobody's out there posting about the clients that didn't see results, right? Like when we
Yeah.
realistically, we're totally transparent. So maybe that client is or maybe that trainer is posting, 20, 30 testimonials, but what about the thousands of people that have purchased, their booty band program that didn't get any results? You're not seeing any of that stuff, right? It's not happening. But you're doing, the people that probably on their own would have gotten results on their own. Like, because we've all had those clients, right? Where you're like, if I had 100 of these clients, all of my clients would be incredibly successful, but we know that that's not every client, and we have to be mindful that the people that are posting are only posting their best clients. Like, that's the truth of the matter. That's what people are posting.
And it's interesting as well. Something we talked about briefly before we went live was how the number of likes and followers that people have doesn't necessarily translate to business. In fact, a lot of the coaches out there that have been in the industry 15, 20 years, they really weren't on social media at the beginning, and they were so busy that they never got on it. And they're just
Mhm.
getting there now. And if you look at their pages, they only have 700 followers, but they
Yep.
run multi-million-dollar facilities, and they're not too worried about how many likes or comments they get. And sure, they want to grow it now, but you can't let that detract from the reality that at the end of the day, if you're good and preferably great at what you do, and you make sure that your clients are proud of what they're achieving and showcasing,
Mhm.
your business will grow rapidly.
Well, and we need to make it about the client, right? And not about us, and not,
Yeah.
making all this money, because when we focus on ourselves, we're coming from a place of ego, and we forget that we didn't get into this for us. We got in it because we wanted to help people. And if you're always focused on, that is your number one driver, like that you're here to help people, then I think that'll make a huge, huge difference. Now, okay, so let's dive in. And what is the strategy that you use? Like, can you walk us through how you? So basically, like, let's just say people know, or that they're good at what they do. So how do you let everybody know about it? Like, what are some like steps that you can tell people that they can actually start implementing in their business?
So one of the first things you can do is get the mindset of realizing that all of your content that you post, because social media is free advertising, so it's something you definitely should use, regardless of if 100 people are watching, one person, 10,000, is adding value. If you can focus on every single post you put up, if you audit it and it adds value, it's going to be a good post, because one person might see that and it might be the post they need to see in terms of a weight loss tip or a strength conditioning tip, or even showcasing a client who's seeing just a little bit of progress that is in the same arena as someone who might be watching, who might say, oh wow, if they can do it, I should be doing it, or I can do it as well. So that's the first thing that I try and do, is make sure in terms of social media, everything I post, I ask, does this add value to the lives of someone who might be a client? It, sorry.
I just wanted to jump in, and that is so important because how many trainers do we all follow that you, because there's always one, right, that literally just posts flexing, and I'm
Oh
like,
yeah,
where's the value in that? Like,
yeah.
or like back pose. Like, there's this one girl I follow on Instagram, and I'll obviously leave her name out. And all it is just photos of herself. And I'm like, how is that adding value to any of the people that follow you? Like, I know personally, I'm not as lean as her. And I'm like, man, every time I see your photos, I kind of feel a little less good about myself because I see, and there's nothing, there's no value that she's adding, that she's giving her followers. So that is a really, really great tip. So add value. So how do you add value? What would you say, like, is a post that you've done recently that you feel like that you've added value to your subscribers?
Well, one thing we try and do is we try and post content across the widest demographic possible, regardless of whether or not it looks sexy on social media. So if you were to go on our Instagram page, for example, you'll see victories that a lot of people wouldn't perceive as victories, but we know they're big wins for the clients who are involved in them. So it might be a 40-pound bench press, but it's a 75-year-old woman who achieved it, or
Wow,
someone just
that's
coming
awesome.
back to the gym after a 6-month layoff. It doesn't seem like a big win, but there's a little story that goes with it that's going to impact someone that's reading it. So it might not be the incredible 100-pound weight loss transformation, which we have a bunch of, but we showcase as many victories as we can of our actual clients, real people that come in the gym and train 2 or 3 times a week, some on their own, sometimes with one of the coaches. But we want to showcase all of those victories because everyone's goals are different. Everyone's lifestyle is different. Everybody is different as an individual, and that's going to reach out to different types of people as well.
Oh, I love that.
Hey, real quick, I know you're into this episode, but I wanted to let you know that if you want to get started with online coaching, then I have a free gift for you. It's a free 3-day course, and in it, you'll learn the core truths guaranteed to get you online fitness clients. You can register with your email at onlinetrainer.com/intro, or if you're in the United States, simply text PTDC to 444999. Thanks, now back to the show.
And that's a really important point because I feel like a lot of people almost have that limiting belief that they can only post photos of, like really lean or really muscular or really fit people, right? And, you brought up a really great point there that if you have a 75-year-old woman that you're coaching that just hit like a 40-pound PR, that's freaking incredible. Like,
Yeah.
that is amazing, right? And it's, I find the more often that you celebrate your clients' small wins, the more that they actually benefit from it because it's very common for people to downplay their own successes, right? Like, and I'll give you an example because one of my clients yesterday, she's been training on and off with me for 4 years. So yesterday was the first day ever she did a chin up on her own with like no support. Okay. And I was like, oh my God, this is amazing. And she was like, yeah, but I could have had better form. And I was like, whoa, 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 whoa. Like, cut it at the butt here. You literally just like tried to downsell, like downplay the fact that you just did a chin up, like after 4 years of training. This is a huge accomplishment. So something like that, right? Like that the more that we celebrate those small wins and we put them out there, it helps people realize that they're actually not small wins, that they really should be proud of every single accomplishment that they make.
And not just that, but building off of that reality where your client said, my form wasn't perfect or something along those lines. We are real coaches that work with real people that have real lives. And perfection should never really be the goal when it comes
Mhm.
to showcasing them, because you might post a video of a deadlift PR. And anyone who's ever coached someone in the real world knows that form is never perfect when you're working with 101%. And so the
Mhm.
phone breaks down a little bit, but so many coaches get self-conscious because they're like, oh, all these other, internet gurus are going to critique the form. It's like, yeah, they might, but you're not posting this for other coaches. You're posting this
Exactly.
to showcase the clients you have and to show other individuals that they can also do these exact same things.
That's a really great point too, because a lot of times we hold ourselves back from posting things, but we have to remember that those other coaches are not our clients and they're
No,
not our market either. So we shouldn't be posting or not posting based on what they think, because it's irrelevant really in our business anyways.
true, very true. And even the way we word posts as well can be something that entices or completely turns off individuals online. If you're writing something with the intent to impress another coach and to showcase how knowledgeable you might be versus providing something simple and actionable to an individual where they can actually put this into play in the real world, then it's going to bring in the attention online that you don't even really want.
Yes, exactly. Now we have a question here. Do you have a preference for which social media platform to use?
That's a great question, actually. We did a lot of Instagram and Facebook. Facebook is our own social network, so it builds well. But what we're actually starting to do, because we have so many business professionals, operators, owners, etc., at our facility, that we're starting to look more at LinkedIn as a potential platform.
Ah,
But we haven't used it much yet. But there are not a lot of fitness professionals marketing on there, which is interesting. So we're not sure how we're going to position ourselves on there yet. But right now, mainly Instagram, and most of the business comes from Facebook.
okay. Now, what is your target market?
So we have a ridiculous demographic. We've got 18, 19, 20-year-old adults here. We've also got all the way up to our oldest client right now is a 77-year-old woman. And we have everything you can think of. We have professionals in there. We have business owners. We have university students. We have emergency workers. If you can think of it, we probably have a client there that does it. So it's quite a unique demographic. And the factor that makes the community so strong is even though everyone has different lives, they all come there with the intent to get better and to work hard. So that's the common factor there.
Oh, that's very cool. Now, so when you post on social media, do you find like how often would you say that you're posting about your clients? And do you post them on your personal page? Do you post them on your business page? A little bit of both. Do you want to kind of explain how you do post your social media?
So primarily posts about clients go on the business page.
Mhm,
Rarely do they ever go on the personal page. But I always share the business page through my personal page. I just don't post direct.
mhm,
And then what we do as well is we try and do probably two out of every three posts are about clients. Uh,
mhm.
and we try and keep about 90-95% of our content about the facility itself, rarely about us as individuals, with just a sprinkling of the coaches, just to showcase that we do work out and we do things as well. But it really isn't about us at the end of the day. So there's not much of our personal content that gets posted.
Okay. How often are you posting these the successes of clients? Is there any rhyme or reason, or just like if somebody hits a PR in the gym, like say Mary, is that 77-year-old woman? Do you snap a picture and you post it right away, or what is your kind of like concept behind that?
So we have a structured schedule of like what to post for at least two posts per day for the entire week. And we
Mhm.
brainstorm that in advance, right? So we have a mobility tip that will go out every week, a Flex Friday photo with one of the clients. We know that a week in advance what's going out. And then from there, we allow one post a day for something that happens throughout the day because you never know what's going to happen. You don't want it to be too scripted. But we want it structured as well, where clients know they can check in on our platforms often and get a training tip or a new exercise to work on or what may be.
Okay, that's very cool. And that's a really good idea. Now, do you pre-schedule your posts on Facebook, or do you like use a system like Buffer or Hootsuite or anything like that?
So I actually just got an annual bill for Hootsuite, and I forgot that I had it. So I just saw that yesterday and said, "Oh, look, I have Hootsuite. I should probably use it." In an ideal world, I would, but my world's pretty chaotic and not as organized as I would like it to be. So it's basically we plan everything on Trello, actually, which is like that listing platform. And so we create the list on there, and then we put all the content in and structure it and then post it on a daily basis. But in an ideal world, I would structure with Hootsuite. Yeah.
Okay, very cool. Well, and that brings up a really good point because I think, and we've kind of touched on this in the last couple of days as well, is that a lot of people think that they need to have this like perfect system and that
Sure.
there's some secret like system that they can use, right? Like Hootsuite or Buffer to be able to pre-schedule their posts and make everything amazing like that, right? But the reality is like and again I feel like that's kind of a limiting belief for a lot of people is that like the same way that we talk to our clients, it's about progress, not perfection. So if you're thinking that some program like this is going to change your business, it's at the end of the day, you know, you have to be super tidy about when you're posting everything. It's not really the truth, right? Like that's not the thing.
No.
As long as you're just doing it, even if you're posting, like something is better than nothing. And that's something that like is about all the time is just really focusing on anything, like even one post a day. But I know in OTA, we really talk about being consistent, right? With the
Yeah.
information that we're out there. So even if you're making one post a day, you don't have to do as many as Ben is doing. And I'm sure when you first started, you definitely weren't where you are right now with your post, right?
Well, not just that, but sometimes weeks get busy. I know last week was a perfect example. There was, I think, 2 days where I didn't even get posts up at all because things
Okay.
happen. Life gets chaotic. You have all the behind the scenes stuff that nobody ever sees. We had new equipment coming into the gym. We had new clients signing up. And next thing you know, it's 9 p.m. and it's like, oh, wow, I forgot to post something. So, nothing's ever perfect in terms of how things are going to operate. The big win is if you can put systems in place that keep you relatively structured, that helps a lot as opposed to having no structure whatsoever. But yeah, the reason we plan out 14 posts a week is with the goal to maybe get 10 of them up. And on a great week, if we get 16 or 17, like that's a huge victory.
That's awesome. Well, and that's really great because it's kind of the same way that we talk to our clients, right? Like in a perfect world, they'd have 4 or 5 sessions a week and they'd hit, 100% compliance on all their meals. But we know that it's not going to happen in their lives. So why do we try to force ourselves to do something that we don't even expect our clients to do, right? So that's a really, really great, very awesome. Now, do you have any final words for those that are watching?
I would say, a lot of us have all been in or are all in the same situation in terms of feeling overwhelmed by all of the opportunity that's around us. It's easy to get frustrated, but recognize that, a lot of us all have the same things we're dealing with in terms of, the 5 a.m. wake up calls, the 3 a.m. wake up calls, early morning clients, late night clients, your middays empty and then it's full and then you're busy and tired and all of those things. Don't fall into the trap of thinking that you're off the mark. We're all a work in progress when it comes to developing our businesses. Some of us are doing very well at certain aspects where we're dropping the ball completely in others. And don't beat yourself up too bad about it. Look to individuals who are excelling where you're struggling, ask for advice, take action on the advice, and recognize that you will get to where you're going if you focus on it, as opposed to just thinking you're completely lost. You're working. You got to work on it. It takes time.
I love that. That is such an important point because I think a lot of us are our own worst critics, right? So if we kind of just give ourselves a little bit of the same love and grace that we give our clients, then I think we'd all have a little bit less of a stressful day.
Yeah, it's very true. And at the end of the day, like we talked about a bit today, you got to be good, preferably great at what you do, and then make sure that every single person you possibly can knows about it because you can then add value to their lives with your skill set that you have.
Absolutely. Well, and guys, remember, like, it's not about us. It's about the impact that we can make in the world. And if you're focusing, if you're coming from that place where, you know what, you're trying to provide value to other people out there, you know, it doesn't come from a place of that you're showing off or anything. You're truly trying to do exactly what you love. And that's why we got into this.
I agree 100%.
That's why I get up early, go to the gym, right? That's why I do what I do. It's because I love, like, I genuinely love helping people. And I mean, I don't think any of us would get up at the time that we get up or stay up as late as we do because we don't love helping people. And all we have to do is show people that we really love what we do. That's what we're here for, right?
Very, very true. And making sure that you recognize that when you're adding value to the lives of others, that it's not a bad thing wanting people to do business with you. That's important as well. A lot of trainers, they get stuck in the trap of like, well, I should be helping everyone for free all the time. And you have to understand that when you're good at what you do and you want people coming in to do business with you, that's how you grow your business. That's important. And not just giving away every single thing for free.
Oh, that's so true. And that's a really, really good point because I feel that a lot of people, when we were kind of talking about this a little bit before, a lot of people have a hard time asking for money, right? That they have a hard time saying, you know, oh, I'm worth this much. But at the end of the day, that money that people won, that they're paying you, you're going to gain a different level because people don't really appreciate things that are free, right? Like not everyone appreciates stuff free. They don't take it as seriously. And then also with that too, you're being like, I know that if I can have all my bills paid, I would probably work for free because it doesn't ever feel like work. Don't tell my clients I said that.
I will tell, I promise.
But at the end of the day, right? Like we all need money to survive. And at the end of the day, if we're taking that money, a lot of us are investing it back in courses. I know I spend a ton of money every year, and that literally goes right back to my clients. But if my clients weren't paying me money, I couldn't become better. So at the end of you have to ask yourself, like, what does my client deserve? Did they deserve the best version of me, or did they deserve a trainer that's not willing to invest in themselves to become better for them?
It's very true. Very, very true.
Well, awesome. Ben, this was amazing. I really, really enjoyed our conversation. And for those of you that are watching, let us know in the comments your number one takeaway, okay? And we're going to be giving away a couple books for those of you that are entering your number one takeaways. And Ben, I want to thank you on behalf of the Personal Trainer Development Center for coming on, spending time today out of your day to share with viewers your number one takeaway and these tips. They've been awesome, guys. So guys, if you want a similar success as Ben, you're going to want to check out this new course from Jonathan Goodman, and it's going to give you the blueprint you need to take your business to the next level, okay? So if you're in the US, you can text PTDC to 444-999. And if you're not in the US, you can go to the ptdc.com/intro. And not to worry, it's totally a mouthful. I know because I'm having to say it over again. I'll put it in the comments for you guys to check that out. And I want to thank you guys again. We'll be back on Monday coming live to you. Next week is all females. I gotta say, I'm super pumped. Just the way that the scheduling worked out, this week was all guys, but next week is all women. So I cannot wait for that. For those of you who are watching, I hope to see you guys Monday at 12:30 Eastern Standard Time. I'll catch you guys then. See you later.